Today we're going to learn how to solve for a variable. So basically it's the same steps that we would use in solving an equation. It's just that a lot of times we're working with a bunch of letters that we are just simply moving around. Many times we do this when we're dealing with a formula, and a formula, again, is just an equation that states a rule for a relationship. You use formulas all the time. You know formulas. If you were to sit here and start, you would say things like D equals RT, perimeter equals 2 lengths plus 2 widths, area of a circle, pi r squared. There's lots of them that you know. A lot of times in science you will use these. So in the formula D equals RT, the way it's written right now, the D is isolated. That just means it's by itself. So I can rearrange this formula to isolate any one of the other variables that I want to by simply using inverse operations. This is called solving for a variable. Now, I think it's the word solving that causes people issues because I won't come up with a value for the variable. I will just simply have the variable in another spot. So here's the steps for solving for a variable. First, you need to locate the variable you're asked to solve for. Identify the operations on that variable, or what's happening to that variable, and the order in which they're applied, and then use the inverse operations. So for instance, D equals RT. If I were to ask you to solve for R, the first thing it's telling you here is to locate where it is. Well, it's right here. There's the R right there. Okay? And then what it tells you to do is identify what's happening to the R. Well, this R is being multiplied by the T. It's the only thing that's happening, so that's the only thing I have to reverse. And to get rid of something that's multiplied by a T, I would divide by T. Okay? These T's cancel out. And my new formula would be D divided by T equals R. The difference is, in the original one, the D was isolated, so you solved for D. In the second one, the R is isolated, so this equation is solved for R. Now, it doesn't make any difference how complex the equation is. It doesn't make any difference whether you understand what the equation says or means. In this one, it says the formula for a person's typing speed is S, where it says S is speed, is equal to W, W is the number of words typed, minus 10E, E is the number of errors or mistakes, divided by M, and M is the number of minutes. Now, I really don't even have to understand that. I don't have to understand how that works. What I can do, though, is I can now take this and solve for a different variable. I would do this if I wanted to to be able to figure out errors all the time rather than the speed. So, remember those steps just a minute ago. Okay? You might want to try this one yourself, but remember those steps just a minute ago. First we have to locate where it is in the equation. You see the E right there. Okay. Now, what's going on with that E? Well, the E is multiplied by a negative 10. Okay? Oh, excuse me. It's divided by, okay. It's multiplied by a negative 10. It's subtracted from W and then divided by M. Okay? So multiplied, subtracted, divided. So I'm going to do that in reverse. I'm going to get rid of what's divided first, and I do that by multiplying. So I multiply both sides of the equation by M. And what's going to happen here is this M cancels with this M. Okay? All right. Then I'm going to subtract W from both sides. So that's gone. So I'm left with a negative 10E. I can't really subtract a W from an MS because I don't know what any of those mean. So all I can do is write it. MS minus W equals negative 10E. Okay, so that undid the addition. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by negative 10 to get rid of this. These cancel out. And again, I can't divide negative 10 into these because I don't know what their value is, but I have a new equation now. And in this one, the E is by itself. So this equation is solved for E. I would like for you to pause the video and try these two. Oh, excuse me, this one. This is written two ways. So you can either write it 1/2 h height times b1 plus b2, or you can write it height times b1 plus b2 divided by 2. It's the same thing. I don't care which one you use, but take one of those and let's solve for b1. Okay? So pause the video and do that. I'm going to use the top one. So I'm going to start actually by multiplying both sides by 2. That's going to give me, and I need to move this guy out of the way here. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. That's going to give me 2a is equal to h times b1 plus b2. Okay, these 2's canceled out. The next thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by h. Okay, so that's going to give me 2a divided by h is equal to, now since the h is gone, the parentheses no longer have to be there, b1 plus b2. And then I'm going to subtract b2 from both sides. Again, I can't put these together. They're not like terms. So I have 2a divided by h minus b2 is equal to b1. And there it is, solved for b1. This actually happened to be the formula of the area of a trapezoid. Okay? And we can do this with simple equations like this. So in this top one, I want you to solve for x. So when I say solve for x, that means get the x by itself. Here, I want you to solve for q, which means get the q by itself. So pause the video and do these. So up here, this is pretty easy. Subtract y, subtract y. X is equal to 15 minus y. Again, when it uses the word solve, it doesn't necessarily always mean that you're going to get a value answer. Here, I want you to solve for q. Again, pretty easy. Divide both sides by p. This cancels out. I get q is equal to x over p. You need to try this with your science ones. And that's it.